The air in Salem felt clean on the day Bridget Bishop was hanged. Clean and scoured, as if the town itself had been baptized in smoke and fear, as if a fever had finally broken, leaving behind only silence, thin, trembling, righteous silence. We, the good and faithful of Salem, had found the devil's handmaid hiding among us, and we had cut out the rot. I was one of the 12 jurors who sealed her fate. I remember the rope, black and coarse, tightening against her neck. Her body swayed once, twice, and then hung still against the pale, merciless sky. And in that moment, I felt no guilt, no sorrow, only a terrible, cleansing certainty. My hands were clean, my conscience clear. I had served God's brutal, necessary justice. That night, for the first time in months of trials, whispers, and restless sermons, I went to sleep with what felt like a peaceful heart. It was the last peaceful sleep I would ever know. I woke in the dead hour between moonset and sunrise, not to noise, but to awareness. It came slowly, like a stain spreading through water. My eyes were open, staring into the dark, but my body was a coffin. Heavy, frozen. I couldn't move a finger, couldn't even turn my head. A scream burned in my throat, trapped and fluttering like a bird in a cage of bone. Sleep paralysis, the hag riding, the nightmare. I had heard of such afflictions whispered about the fireside, but whispers had never felt so close. And then I saw her. In the far corner of the room, where no light could reach, the shadows began to move. At first I thought it was my mind, still poisoned by fear, but the darkness thickened, it drew together, and it took shape. The shape of a woman, gaunt, still, a column of night cut out of the world. I could not see her face. I didn't need to. My soul knew her. Bridget Bishop. For a time that felt endless, she didn't move, didn't breathe. She simply stood there, watching. The silence was absolute, so heavy I could hear the frantic, wet pounding of my own heart. Every prayer in my mind scattered like ashes in the wind. I lay there, helpless, until the first thin light of dawn crept into the room. And then she was gone, as if she had never been. I gasped, dragged air into my lungs like a drowning man breaking through ice. My skin was slick with cold sweat, my heartbeat a hammer in my chest. A trick of the mind, I told myself. A phantom of guilt, a specter of a righteous day. It would not happen again. It happened again. The second night, the paralysis struck harder. It didn't creep, it fell like a coffin lid slamming shut. My eyes opened to the same suffocating stillness, and she was there again. Closer this time, no longer in the corner, but at the foot of my bed. A dark figure carved from the night itself. Moonlight spilled through the shutters, catching the rough homespun fabric of her condemned dress. I could see the frayed rope still wound around her neck. Her head hung at a sick, impossible angle, tilted, listening, as if waiting to hear the final snap. She stood there for what could have been an hour or eternity. Her presence pressed against my soul like a storm against glass. And then she raised a single trembling hand, a finger extended, pointing directly at me. Then the dawn came, and she melted into the light. I began to dread the sun's descent. Every sunset became a slow countdown to judgment. By day I pretended to be whole. By night I became her prisoner again. On the third night, I swore not to sleep. I sat by the fire until the logs were nothing but dying coals, my Bible open across my lap. The holy words tasted like dust. But sleep is a tide. You can fight it for a time, but it always wins. When I woke, I was already trapped, and she was sitting on my chest. A crushing weight pinned me to the bed. My lungs screamed for air, my heart beating in frantic, useless terror. I was suffocating. Her face hovered over mine, not seen, but felt, a void of shadow breathing death across my skin. The scent of grave soil clung to her, cold, sweet, wrong. Then she spoke, not in screams or curses, but in a whisper dry as dead leaves skittering across a gravestone. She said a name, just one. Lydia. That name, that cursed, buried name, it cut through me like the blade of judgment itself. A sin of my youth, a broken promise whispered under a willow tree, a memory I had buried deeper than any grave. How could she know? How could the dead speak my hidden shame? My voice broke in my chest, and somewhere behind that paralyzed silence, a single thought began to crawl into my mind, a thought that would haunt every night that followed. Lydia. The name hung in the air like smoke, thin, poisonous, inescapable. For a moment, I thought my heart had stopped. Lydia. A secret I had buried under 20 years of prayer. A promise made beneath a willow tree, broken in the name of ambition. A memory I had sealed so deep, not even God himself had heard me whisper it since. How could she know? How could Bridget Bishop, the witch I condemned, reach through death itself to drag my past into the light? When dawn came, I could finally move. The paralysis lifted like a curse unraveling in slow, invisible threads. But the peace was gone. The righteous certainty that had once filled my chest was replaced with a hollow ache. My hands no longer felt clean, and in the pit of my soul I began to understand the gallows had not cleansed Salem. They had only opened the door. Night after night, she returned, always at that same hour when the world holds its breath between dreams and waking. She would come silently, like the settling of ash, and each night she whispered another sin. Not grand ones, not the devil's temptations. No, mine. The pennies I stole from the collection plate as a child. the lie I told to ruin a neighbor's name so that I might buy his land for a pittance. The jealous thrill I felt when a rival's crops failed from blight. The quiet, forbidden thoughts I had for my brother's wife. Her pale hands folded in church, her smile a light I was never meant to touch. Each whisper was a blade, peeling back another layer of the man I pretended to be, until I realized I was no longer her judge. I was her confessor, and she my priest. By day I walked among men, a respected juror, a pillar of Salem. But by night I was dissected piece by the ghost of the woman I'd condemned. My body began to fail. I grew thin, pale, my eyes hollowed into dark pits, mirrors of the grave that waited for me. The mirror on my wall began to frighten me, not because of what I saw in it, but because of what I didn't. The light in my reflection had gone out. I stopped seeing a witch. I started seeing an arbiter, something ancient and patient, wearing the shape of justice I thought I understood. Then, one night, the ritual broke. I awoke in that same paralysis, but this time there was no weight on my chest, no breath on my skin, only silence and a presence standing by the window. Moonlight framed her figure, stark, silver, and motionless. And for the first time, I saw her face. It was not Bridget Bishop's. It was smooth, pale, featureless, like a mask carved from bone and polished to a mirror's shine. No eyes, no nose, no hair. Only a mouth, a thin, bloodless line waiting to open. And when it did, it was my own voice that came out. Did you condemn her for God, Jonathan? Or did you condemn her because her defiance reminded you of your own weakness? The words struck me harder than any curse, because they were true. I hadn't judged a witch. I had judged a woman who refused to kneel, a woman who owned her sins and her life with a pride I could never bear to face in myself. I hadn't sentenced evil. I had silenced my reflection. And now, the reflection had returned to finish the trial. She turned toward the window, the moonlight bending around her like rippling glass, and in my own voice, cold and final, she spoke. The trial is over, Jonathan. Her trial, at least. Then she placed her hands on the glass, and the light flowed into her. Her shape dissolved into the night, like breath fading from a mirror. And I was alone. A week has passed since that night. The paralysis has not returned. The witch is gone, but I am not free. I sleep, but my dreams are full of scratching, soft, rhythmic, too deliberate to be the sound of rats or wind. Last night, the sound came again, a scraping just beside my bed. I awoke, lit a candle, and saw it. My right hand, my own hand, was moving on its own. My left lay still, cold as stone, but my right gripped a shard of glass, and it was carving something into the wooden floorboards. A list of names. the names of the other 11 jurors, the men who had stood beside me. The candle flame trembled, shadows bending across the room, and my hand, my own hand, moved to the top of the list and began carving a 12th name. The first name on the docket for a new trial. My own.